what are the things that you've kind of let go of in your creating process? And is there like a core that you've always kind of held on to with regards to making work? Like, is there one string of consistency that you felt through everything that you've created on the platform?
I started doing YouTube like literally a couple months after my 18th birthday, and now like I'm 26 now, on my way to 27. So I did a lot of like growing up, from like when
Sure.
I started my channel to like later on, like and even like the early years. Like I think I literally was like doing this during like over the biggest years of change of my life, and like I would see myself kind of as a mostly different person than when I started. So
Right.
I think one of the things that I kind of have dropped, in the back half of my career was, there was, I used to have kind of a lot more of the typical like video game humor, like kind
Sure.
of making fun of like bad games and stuff like that. Like I did a whole bunch of like the Sonic the Hedgehog bashing and like things like that. Like that's a whole a
Right.
whole like meme on my channel and everything. But over time, just as YouTube kind of changed and it became like more and more popular for like all these like reaction vids and more people to
Right.
like talk about games, and just as it became more popular for like these like gaming sins videos and everything like that, and kind of a more like negative outlook on
Right.
like this is why this game's the worst, or like the game that ended this franchise and everything.
Right.
As that became like more popular, I kind of started to draw away like from my part in that.
Sure.
And like so these days, like I don't like whenever they announce a new Sonic game, like I don't like make fun of that and things, because I'm a lot more in the perspective like, if just because a video game series like doesn't particularly like do it for me, like obviously
Yeah.
there's a lot of fans, so I'm a lot more of a like live and let live kind of like
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
perspective now. Just any of the like combative elements of like running a YouTube channel that I might have like indulged in like a bit earlier on, I feel like that by this point that's just like it's not worth it.
Sure.
And it's a lot better to just like go hard like for the things that you enjoy, and like always like
Right.
be doing stuff kind of in good faith and like with good humor and stuff like that.
Right.
And so in terms of stuff that I feel like I've kept consistent the entire way through, I think that core of like both offering like something valuable to people and like entertaining them at the same time, like I think that has been, even if I couldn't fully articulate that, I've always kind of like really felt strongly about
Right.
mixing those two avenues. So yeah, if I had to give an answer, but
Yeah.
but the question like immediately kinds to bring to mind like, wow, like I'm really different from like the outlook I had on like.
Sure. So I mean, it's been a learning experience, basically, a creative
Yeah,
journey of
yeah.
finding what that core might be as time has gone on, right? And do you feel more confident in your work's purpose nowadays, or do you feel like you're still kind of looking?
Well, I feel like for me personally, because I'm kind of at the point where like I don't make the 64 things wrong videos at the moment. It's been a
Sure.
while since the last episode of Really Freaking Clever, because those videos, I don't know how much you want to talk about like the business side of like YouTube and stuff, but
I
like
love everything. Go
the
for it.
I used to because I took a bunch of hiatuses in recent years, some mental health stuff and things like that, and kind of like reassessing like what I want to do creatively, and that's kind of
Sure.
what eventually led me to realizing I want music to be a part of my creative life again. But during all that, I think what was the question again? I think I got kind of
Well,
off track there.
I'm just curious if like now that you've kind of started again with music and making a little bit more of a return to YouTube, do you feel that your purpose in what you create, does that become more clear to you, or do you feel like you're still kind of looking for that with regards to like a core or something that you have to articulate to other people, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the music and what I've been doing on streams lately, I feel like I'm at the point where I know a lot more about myself and like what I want to accomplish like creatively.
Sure.
I think I'm still working out like how exactly like
The vehicle to get it there, basically.
Yeah, what's the best way at the moment, because they're like YouTube's always changing, like algorithms are always changing.
For sure.
And yeah, I was going to say like I've taken a few hiatuses, and I used to think that like really messed with like my YouTube metrics, and that was why like, oh, like people don't, whenever I put out a video, like it's getting less views than it used to and stuff. And for a while I just assumed that was because I hadn't uploaded on YouTube like really consistently and the algorithm was really mad. But that it's kind of a common refrain I've been hearing from like people that also like are around my size or like started around that time, is that just views and like the type of YouTube that we do, like kind of that niche of like Nintendo commentary, like analysis and everything. It's a lot rougher out there in terms of like what YouTube will show to people and what it actually like, just how everything works. So that's something that I'm still trying to figure out as I kind of dip my toes back into like regular content creation again, is like how does this work these days? Because everything's always changing. But in terms of actually what I'm making, I do feel like with a lot of reflection and everything, I'm a lot more solid on what I want to be doing and like the point of it.
Yeah. How I kind of felt with this podcast was I in 2020, amidst all the quarantine stuff, I'd kind of rediscovered what it was that I had my purpose in this content in the field of entertainment. And I basically went to the drawing boards and I had to think like, what's an effective way to actually deliver this message? What can I use as a vehicle? And it ended up being podcast working out relatively well for me in that front, right? But ultimately, as long as you still have that core and that purpose of something you want to share, the vehicle will eventually build itself, right? Like ultimately that's what shines in your content. And I'm glad that you feel like you have more of a handle on that now. Hey there. You just watched a clip from my creative podcast. If you'd like to check out the full episode as well as other episodes as soon as they come out, you can support me over on Patreon for the $3 tier, or you can just subscribe here and wait for clips and podcast episodes to come out eventually.